Most people think power is loud. They think control comes from dominance, aggression, or being the most visible person in the room. That belief is why they are easy to manipulate. True power is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't react emotionally. It observes. Dark psychology begins with a brutal truth most people refuse to accept. Human behavior is not driven by morality. It is driven by self-interest. People do not act because something is right. They act because it benefits them, socially, emotionally, financially, or psychologically. Even so-called good behavior is often a transaction. Approval, validation, security, control. Once you understand this, you stop being surprised by human nature. And surprise is weakness. The majority of people live reactively. They respond emotionally to stimuli without realizing it. A comment triggers them. A look unsettles them. A delay irritates them. And in every reaction, information leaks. Emotion is the primary vulnerability. When someone reacts quickly, you learn what they fear. When someone over-explains, you learn they are insecure. When someone seeks validation, you learn they can be controlled with approval. Dark psychology is not about harming others. It's about understanding the mechanics beneath behavior, so you are never the one being used. Silence is the first weapon. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it. They talk too much. They reveal too much. They negotiate against themselves. When you remain silent, the other person projects. They expose their intentions, their anxieties, their strategies, without realizing it. This is why calm individuals appear intimidating. Not because they are aggressive, but because they are unreadable. Unreadability is power. People fear what they cannot predict. Modern society rewards emotional expression. It teaches you to open up, be vulnerable, and say how you feel. But this advice ignores one critical reality. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Information is leverage. The more someone knows about your emotional triggers, your desires, your fears, the more they can influence you. Strategic individuals compartmentalize. They reveal selectively. They test before trusting. Loyalty is not declared. It is demonstrated under pressure. Dark psychology requires discipline. The discipline to pause instead of react, to observe instead of respond, to analyze instead of assume. Most manipulation works because people want to be liked. They want approval. They want to feel chosen. This need creates blind spots. Compliments disarm. Urgency rushes judgment. Authority overrides logic. A skilled manipulator uses emotional hooks. A skilled strategist removes them. When someone flatters you excessively, ask yourself, what do they want? When someone pressures you for a quick decision, ask yourself, why can't this wait? When someone plays the victim, ask yourself, what responsibility are they avoiding? Powerful individuals ask questions internally. Weak individuals respond externally. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. You don't need to dominate conversations to control outcomes. You don't need to threaten to be respected. You don't need to explain yourself to be understood. You need emotional regulation. The person who can stay calm when others escalate automatically gains the upper hand, because emotion clouds judgment and clarity wins. Dark psychology is not about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming aware of patterns, aware of incentives, aware of human predictability. Once you see the patterns, you cannot unsee them. You notice how people mirror authority, how they submit to confidence, how they test boundaries subtly before crossing them. And once you see it, you stop being a participant. You become the observer. Observers are never controlled. They are the ones who decide. This is the foundation. In the next part, we'll break down how people manipulate without words, how power is signaled subconsciously, and why the calmest person in the room is almost always the most dangerous. Once you accept that most human behavior is predictable, something shifts. You stop taking things personally. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop mistaking noise for power. Because when you understand the pattern, you understand the game. People test before they trust. They probe before they commit. They push boundaries in small, almost invisible ways to see what they can get away with. A subtle disrespect, a delayed reply, a request framed as a favor that isn't really optional. These are not accidents. They are measurements. Most people fail these tests without realizing it. They either overreact, exposing insecurity, or they comply, signaling weakness. Power lives in the space between those two extremes. The correct response is controlled neutrality. Few words, no emotional charge, no explanation. Explanation is submission disguised as politeness. When you explain yourself, you invite judgment. When you justify your boundaries, you weaken them. When you seek understanding, you surrender leverage. This is why calm, minimal responses feel unsettling to others. They can't read you, they can't categorize you, and what they can't categorize, they can't control. Silence forces projection. When you don't immediately respond, people fill the gap with assumptions. They reveal their fears. They reveal their intentions. They reveal how they would behave in your position. This is information. Information is power. Most manipulation works because people rush to relieve discomfort. They want the tension to end. They want the conversation to feel normal again. So they talk, they clarify, they soften, and in doing so, they hand control to the other person. The disciplined mind does the opposite. It allows tension to exist. It allows silence to stretch, because silence shifts pressure outward. The person who feels the most discomfort loses first. This is why emotional discipline is more dangerous than aggression. Aggression is visible. Discipline is invisible. Aggression invites resistance. Discipline invites submission. People respond to emotional gravity without realizing it. They lean towards certainty. They defer to composure. They follow those who seem unaffected. This is not charisma. It is nervous system regulation. Your emotional state influences others more than your words ever could. A calm presence lowers the energy of the room. An anxious presence raises it. An unstable presence infects it. Those who can regulate themselves regulate the environment. This is why the calmest person in the room often ends up leading, even without authority. Leadership is not assigned. It is felt, and it is felt through consistency. Consistency in tone, consistency in reactions, consistency in boundaries. When people can't provoke you, they stop trying. When they can't rush you, they adapt to your pace. When they can't read you, they become cautious. Caution is respect in its early form. Most people confuse being liked with being respected. They are not the same. Being liked requires emotional availability. Being respected requires emotional control. The need to be liked is a vulnerability. It creates compromises you didn't intend to make. The moment you prioritize approval, you surrender position. Strategic individuals understand this and choose restraint instead. They don't chase connection. They allow it to form naturally, or not at all. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means independence. You care, but you are not controlled by caring. This is where most people misunderstand dark psychology. They think it's about becoming cold. It's not. It's about becoming unexploitable. An unexploitable person does not overshare. They do not emotionally negotiate. They do not reveal their motivations prematurely. They observe first. They test quietly. They trust slowly. And when they move with intent. At this stage, something important happens. You stop participating emotionally in situations that once drained you. Provocations lose their power. Manipulations become obvious. And silence becomes your default response. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand when saying nothing says more. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how power operates inside groups, how status is established without titles, and why people instinctively follow those who never seem in a hurry to be understood. Once authority forms in small groups, it begins to spread without effort. This is how influence compounds. Reputation is not built through self-promotion. It is built through consistency, observed over time. People watch how you behave when nothing is at stake. They watch how you respond when pressure appears. They watch whether your composure collapses or remains intact. Most people destroy their own influence by trying to manufacture it. They explain who they are. They advertise their intentions. They seek acknowledgement. But reputation does not respond to words. It responds to pattern. The mind trusts repetition, not declarations. When your behavior is steady across situations, people begin to predict you. And predictability, when combined with restraint, creates trust. This is why erratic individuals never gain real authority. Even when they appear powerful, they are not reliable. And what is not reliable cannot be followed long-term. True influence requires emotional economy. You do not react to every situation. You do not comment on everything. You do not engage in every conflict. Selective engagement increases perceived value. The scarcer your reactions, the heavier they become. When someone known for silence speaks, people listen. When someone known for restraint acts, people adjust. This is the compounding effect of discipline. Over time, people begin to speak about you when you are not present. This is where influence becomes self-sustaining. They describe you as calm, measured, unshakable. And those descriptions travel faster than you ever could. Social proof does not come from visibility. It comes from endorsement, often indirect. One person observes your behavior under pressure. They trust you. They reference you to others. This chain does not require your participation. In fact, the less you interfere, the stronger it becomes. Those who constantly manage their image weaken it. Those who allow behavior to speak strengthen it. There is a paradox here most people miss. The less you try to control how others see you, the more control you gain over how you are perceived. Because perception shaped organically feels authentic. At this stage, influence shifts from interaction-based to presence-based. You no longer need to assert yourself. Your presence does the work. Rooms respond differently when you enter. Conversations slow slightly. People check themselves, not out of fear, but out of awareness. They sense boundaries before you state them. This is how power operates at higher levels. It is ambient. Those who chase dominance exhaust themselves. Those who embody it conserve energy. Long-term power is quiet because it does not need reinforcement. Another key principle here is patience. Most people want immediate results, immediate respect, immediate control. But power that arrives quickly leaves just as fast. Sustainable influence is earned slowly, through repeated moments of emotional discipline. Moments where you could have reacted, but didn't. Moments where you could have spoken, but chose not to. Moments where you could have taken credit, but remained detached. Each moment compounds, and eventually, something irreversible happens. People stop testing you. They stop probing your boundaries. They stop attempting to manipulate your emotions. Not because you confronted them, but because they learned it doesn't work. At that point, you operate from position, not effort. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to defend anything. You don't need to explain anything. Your history does it for you. This is why true power often looks boring from the outside. There are no dramatic displays, no emotional swings, just consistency. Consistency is threatening to unstable systems. It exposes impulsiveness, it highlights insecurity, it creates contrast, and contrast clarifies hierarchy. Those who remain emotionally neutral while others fluctuate naturally rise, not by force, not by demand, but by gravity. By now, you should notice something important. This entire structure requires one thing above all else: self-mastery. Without it, every tactic collapses, every strategy fails. Because the moment emotion overrides discipline, control is lost. In the final part, we'll strip everything down to its core: how self-mastery is built, why most people never achieve it, and how those who do become impossible to manipulate, rush, or replace. At the core of everything you've heard is one truth that cannot be bypassed. Power over others begins with power over yourself. Most people never reach this point because self-mastery is uncomfortable. It requires restraint when reaction feels easier, silence when expression feels natural, patience when urgency is tempting. The mind is trained from childhood to react, to seek validation, to explain itself, to defend its identity. This conditioning creates predictability. Predictability creates control. Anyone who can predict your reactions can influence your decisions. Anyone who can trigger your emotions can steer your behavior. Self-mastery removes that access. It begins with emotional delay. Not suppression, delay. The ability to pause before responding, to observe the internal surge without acting on it, to let the moment pass without leaking information. This single skill dismantles most manipulation attempts because manipulators rely on speed. They create urgency. They provoke reaction. They compress time. When you slow the exchange, you reverse the advantage. The moment you stop reacting on cue, the dynamic shifts. What once controlled you becomes ineffective. This is why emotional discipline feels threatening to others. They lose their leverage. They cannot rush you. They cannot bait you. They cannot destabilize you. You become psychologically insulated. At this stage, attention becomes a conscious choice. You decide where your energy goes. You decide what deserves response. You decide who has access. This selectivity is not arrogance. It is self-respect. People who lack it feel entitled to your reactions. When you deny them, they label you distant, cold, or difficult. Those labels are defensive. They are the mind's way of rationalizing lost influence. Self-mastery also requires detachment from outcomes. The need for a specific result creates vulnerability. The more you need something to go your way, the easier you are to pressure. Those who operate from abundance, internal or external, cannot be coerced easily. They can walk away. They can wait. They can let opportunities pass. This freedom is sensed immediately, and it changes how others engage with you. Negotiations slow, demands soften, manipulation attempts become cautious. Because the other side feels the imbalance. They want something. You don't need it. The most controlled individuals are not emotionless. They feel everything. They simply don't outsource control of their behavior to their feelings. They use emotion as data, not direction. Anger becomes information, fear becomes awareness, desire becomes insight. Nothing is wasted, nothing is acted on impulsively. This internal hierarchy is what separates those who are ruled from those who rule. Once established, it cannot be faked. People can sense when calm is manufactured. They can sense when confidence is performative. True self-mastery is quiet because it does not need to be seen. It reveals itself under pressure. When others escalate, you remain level. When others panic, you remain deliberate. When others rush, you slow down. This contrast is unmistakable, and over time, it creates final authority. Not the kind that demands compliance, but the kind that receives it. By now, the pattern should be clear. Those who seek power loudly rarely hold it. Those who pursue attention lose influence. Those who chase control expose insecurity. The individuals who dominate outcomes are often the least visible. They move deliberately, they speak sparingly, they react selectively. They are not mysterious by design. They are focused by nature. This is the final layer of dark psychology. Not manipulation, not domination, immunity. Immunity to emotional coercion, immunity to urgency, immunity to social pressure. When you reach this point, you are no longer playing the same game as everyone else. And those who are still playing can feel it. They adjust, they hesitate, they yield. Not because you ask them to, but because they recognize something they cannot access. Control that does not need to be enforced. That is real power. And it begins and ends with self-mastery.